Hi everyone, my name's Lacey. This is my audience. If one of your family members was murdered or hurt, how would you feel? What would you want done? How do you think all the families of the murder and rape victims feel? Death and rape is not something to be taken lightly, and the murderer or rapist should have to pay for the crimes that they commit. The death penalty goes back as far as the 18th century and has changed drastically throughout the centuries, as has people's views on the death penalty. There are more people today that believe the death penalty should be abolished. I, however, believe the death penalty should be an ethical punishment throughout the nation for wicked and brutal acts of crime, particularly for all murder and rape cases. I believe this because it is a deterrent for others. It brings justice to the victims and their families, and it makes society not only feel but actually be safer. Let's begin with the fact that the death penalty can be a deterrent for other people. Nancy McCain, an economics professor at the University of Colorado in Denver, proves this when he said, "The results are robust. They don't really go away. I oppose the death penalty, but my results show that the death penalty deters. What am I going to do? Hide them?" After these 2007 studies, Nancy McCain found that for every execution, there are 5 fewer homicides and an average of 18 murders are deterred. Now, I know these studies are old, and honestly, I don't think the death penalty is as big as a deterrent as it used to be, but it can be. There are 2 main reasons the death penalty doesn't deter crime like it used to. One reason is because of the cost and the time, and the second reason is because people truly do not care and they have no remorse. When it comes down to it, executing a criminal takes too much time and ends up being more expensive than life without parole, and most criminals never end up being executed. So of course people thinking about committing a crime don't care what the punishment is. If they do get caught, they go to prison where they can live a comfortable life where there are 3 meals a day, free education, and free living. While criminals are living for free, the families of their victims are grieving. There are people who only get 1 meal a day and others who can't afford an education at all. The murderers and rapists don't care. Why would they feel any remorse or want to change when they can live comfortable for the rest of their lives and still have a chance of parole? The price of sentencing someone to death has gone up and has continued to rise, only making it harder for criminals to pay the price of their crimes. So why are we making it harder for the criminals to be executed? Because our system isn't perfect. Yes, I am pro-death, and yes, I just said the system is not perfect. A huge debate when it comes to the death penalty is how many people on death row are actually guilty. A recent study shows that 4% of people sentenced to death are innocent. That's 1 out of 25 murders. But you have to look at both sides. Yes, there is a risk that an innocent person will be killed on death row. But what about the risk that a guilty person will be released into the world? According to Governor Jerry Brown, 80% of murderers are eligible for parole. I don't know about you, but I personally would not feel safe knowing that a murderer or a rapist could be anywhere and I wouldn't know it. And I'm sure that the victims and their families feel even worse when they find out the person that murdered or raped a loved one is out on the streets. Another thing to think about is that companies and businesses hire these people. Speaking from personal experience, you are not going to feel safe or comfortable in a work environment that includes a sexual offender or someone convicted of murder. Safety in the death penalty also brings justice and closure to victims and their families. Whether you believe in an eye for an eye or not, when it comes down to it, any person who has experienced the loss of a loved one by murder or someone who has been raped, it is natural to feel the need and want for justice. The death penalty gives the victims and their families justice and closure. Though it does bring some closure, I don't think the death penalty brings complete closure until they are actually executed, because the criminals can spend many, many years on death row. However, there is no doubt in my mind that the death penalty brings justice to all the victims and their families. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Boston bombing, so I want to show you guys a couple videos, just parts of the videos. These videos are survivors and survivors' families from the Boston bombing saying that they feel justice and that justice has been served after the bomber was sentenced to death.
I'm pleased with the result.
Do you feel like this is justice for what this person did to, or these two people did to you, to your husband, to so many others?
I do. I feel like this is justice. I feel like we have the justice system for a reason, and this is the exact reason. You know, it is the ultimate justice that you pay, and I have a very difficult time believing that when these acts were committed, that they didn't have that in the back of their minds.
But I remember when those bombs went off, and I remember the vile, disgusting thing that this person did, and his brother. And they destroyed countless innocent lives, destroyed bodies and parts. Very vivid memories for many people and many families. This is nothing to celebrate. This is a matter of justice. His premeditated actions to stand behind children, wait 4.5 minutes with a fully loaded bomb, and then to call his brother and tell him when to explode his bomb moments earlier. His justice now. He wanted to go to hell, and he's going to get there early.
Want to thank
Though many people believe that the death penalty achieves nothing and is only an expensive waste of time, and that most criminals change while in prison because they are remorseful for what they have done, the death penalty can actually be a good thing. Not only can the death penalty make victims and their families feel safe, but it can also bring families closure and justice for their tragedy. The death penalty can also make other people realize murder is not a crime one should commit, because the death penalty should not be taken lightly. I'm not saying that the death penalty should be used in every situation, but just for the extremely brutal crimes. So please, don't sit in the sidelines and watch our communities and our nation become a more dangerous place. Stand up and be heard and inform people of your beliefs and convince them of your beliefs. Together we can make this world a safer place.